You're listening to the Ask Drone U podcast. You ask, we answer your drone questions. Whether you're here to turn your passion into profit or you simply fly for fun, we're a community of learners and teachers who aspire to achieve greatness. We are
Drone U.
Hey everyone, welcome to another awesome episode of Ask Drone U. My name is Paul.
And I'm Vic Moss.
And welcome to another epic episode. We thought it was time to redo the authorization video. What are we talking about? Airspace authorizations, not
waivers.
That's right. So guys, here we are again because the FAA watched our previous video and then changed some things.
Maybe.
Thank you.
Yeah, they changed things. They definitely changed things.
So we have Vic here today to talk about what exactly changed and how you can fill out airspace authorizations in minutes and hopefully get as many airspace authorizations as possible. So Vic, thanks for coming again.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Your favorite.
My favorite too.
Well, it kind of was your favorite. So if you guys don't know Vic, Vic has a couple classes on the site. He is an instructor and has won many HDR photography awards. Overall, BA. Vic, take it away.
Thank you, sir. Well, it was last week that somebody posted in one of the forums that the FAA had changed the way that the page that we do the authorizations on. And the only reason they realized that is they were right in the middle of writing an authorization, they hit refresh and everything changed. So they had to start over, which is not that big a deal. But first of all, FAA, thank you. This is probably one of the best things that you guys have done so far for the UAV community, UAS community, in that you've made the authorization, the airspace side of things, the authorization or waiver, much simpler, much easier. And it's also making your job easier. So that's also what we want to try and do here is get people to fill these out correctly to make your job easier.
Definitely, guys. And just a quick caveat, if you are watching this video on YouTube, just a couple things. We're going to give you the information on how to fill out these airspace authorizations, but we're not going to give you the word for word detail. Honestly, you probably could figure it out. If you don't want to take the time to figure it out, check out the Drone U website. And if you are a member, you can get the word for word what to put in your airspace authorizations. Now, obviously, there's going to be some customization.
Yeah, there's always customizations because the last thing the FAA wants to see is copy and paste. And they read so many of these that they can start recognizing the same wording over and over again.
And
now,
they have.
And they have. And there have been, I have gotten letters, not letters, because this is 2017. I've gotten emails from people saying they rejected my waiver. I don't think I've seen authorizations yet, but that has probably happened. Waivers by saying this is identical to another waiver I've already seen. So change your wording, but the information we'll give you will give you a good basis that you can make your own wording for.
Now, if guys are wondering where to get this information, I mean, they can find just about everything on the FAA.gov/UAS website, right?
They can find what the FAA is looking for generally.
Gotcha.
But
okay.
they won't, the FAA doesn't give you all the answers. They say, this is what we're looking for, and then it's up to you to figure out how to tell them the right stuff so they will know what to say that you're looking for.
So it's not like high school.
Diagram that sentence. Yes, exactly.
I'd rather shoot them a telegraph with instructions.
Exactly. Telegraph. Wow.
All right, well, let's get started, guys.
Sure.
Again, if you want the word for word, Drone U website, http://thedroneu.com. Check it out. All right, Vic, let's do this thing.
Well, first thing you want to do is go to the FAA website for the UAS, faa.gov/UAS. They've done a little bit of fun stuff on this website too, on this page. And so kind of familiarize yourself with different buttons, that kind of stuff. They've got a scroll across the top, which right now, since it's July 10th, so this is kind of old news, they have little news flashes, and the latest one is fireworks, drones, and airplanes don't mix. So, but they do have some other stuff that's fairly usable. They have usually 5 or 6 little scrolls that you can read through. Unmanned aircraft system is on the left side. There's all kinds of little things there you can do as well. And one of the best ones you want to look at is a little tab called resources. You'll find all kinds of stuff there that's going to help you do all kinds of different things. But we're here to talk about, on the right side, there's a button that says request a Part 107 waiver or operation and controlled airspace.
Now, it used to be one form and the same, right? And didn't we make fun of that?
We made fun of that. We did make fun of that.
And
But
now,
lots of people did too. So
now, though,
it's two.
It's two.
It's two. Which also makes sense because when we did this video a long time ago, it seems like at this point, which it wasn't.
It seems like yesterday was a long time ago with the amount of stuff we do.
We made fun because just previously they'd changed. It used to say Part 107, waiver or authorization. Now it says waiver or operation in controlled airspace. So click on that little button right there, and it brings you up to a great little page that has directions on it. 5 different steps for you to follow. And this is one of the things that the biggest change really is that they've separated out the airspace, which is 107.41, authorization or waiver. Now they're still keeping those two things together, but it makes sense how they're doing it now. They've separated off all the other 107 waiverable conditions.
Yeah, they even say right here, flying at night, flying directly over a person or people. And that one, it seems it's interesting that that's kind of on there because I only know of a couple authorizations. Okay, so
3, but 2 people.
Interesting.
2 companies.
Yeah. And there's a complicated story about that.
Right. Most people know it, but those who don't,
it's complicated. Yeah. Anyway, also flying from a moving vehicle when not in a sparsely populated area is something that now you can waive. Flying multiple aircraft with one pilot, flying beyond the pilot's visual line of sight. I think I only know of BNSF that has that one.
One of the other waivers for over people is also BBLOS.
Gotcha, okay. And then flying above 400 feet. Honestly, I don't really get that, to be honest, because most of the shots that I take commercially are never even close to that.
I can easily break that.
Really?
Oh yeah. If I'm shooting a pre-107, if I'm shooting a construction site and they need a God's eye view of it, unless it's a real small construction site, even with like a 12 millimeter on the Inspire, on the X5, 400 feet, I'm not getting the whole thing in. So either I have to fly a couple different passes or apply for a waiver. And luckily to this point, I haven't needed to do that. But that is actually one of the waivers I'm going to apply for.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool, well, let's keep moving here.
Okay.
I will just say though, one thing guys, FAA and for pilots out there, I'm just really excited that there are clear directions because it kind of seemed like the last video that we did was all about directions and helping people out. And again, I know this is that, but at least we have more of a framework.
Right.
It's less guesswork.
Right.
So.
The way they've done it now, they've broken it down into 4 or 5 steps. And each one of those steps also has a little link that has instructions. Now, the instructions aren't all encompassing. For instance, it'll tell you who the responsible person is, which is fine. It gives you some of the definitions.
There's responsible pilots?
There's lots of them.
Just kidding. So it looks like we're going right into 2B, right? If you want to fly in controlled airspace, remember that word, guys, controlled airspace, not restricted airspace, controlled airspace. So it's Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo. You will need to apply for an airspace authorization or waiver.
Echo to the surface.
Surface area echo.
Right, which is echo assigned to an airport.
Yep.
Echo at 700, you don't need a waiver to fly in.
A lot of people get that confused because even here in Denver, like we're right where we are, you can fly it, but on a sectional, it looks like you can't.
Yes.
If you don't know a sectional.
Yes.
Anyway, all right.
But if an instance we would do this just because we mentioned it, if you're flying a tower, okay, and you've got 400 feet up, 400 feet edges, right? And a tower, and if that tower's in G, but it bumps it up above 700 in echo, you do not need a waiver or an authorization to fly that section of E airspace because it is not attached to an airport. And that's as per Kevin Morris, who is an awesome dude. So thank you, Kevin, for everything you do for the community.
Yes, thank you. And it looks like there's actually a little bit of a stipulation here when it comes to authorizations and waivers. It looks like they've finally kind of differentiated that. So it says now, an airspace authorization is a short term up to 6 months.
That's wrong.
And grants access to a more limited operating area. Why is that wrong?
Because they've been working on this before the latest memo. I never got a copy of the memo. They wouldn't give it to me, but I did get confirmation from 2 different sources that all airspace authorizations right now, with probably a few exceptions, maybe in Bravo or some of the more restricted areas, are being given until June 30th, 2018. All of them now have expiration date, including the 2 I got for DIA Bravo.
Gotcha.
So that's been really nice.
So you could say that we believe that these authorizations, so not an app, these authorizations are going to be valid until June of next year.
Oh, they are. They are. My expiration on my last two say June 30th, 2018.
So let me ask you another question. If June 2018 comes, do you think we could reasonably expect to have an app with instantaneous access to get airspace authorization?
Official language that I've received and somebody else has received, so again, two different confirmations. The new software, and those are their words, new software will be operational.
By June.
By June 30th, 2018.
You guys heard it here first.
So, no, well, it's made some of the rounds, so yeah. But absolutely. So now I'm sure it'll probably be out before then. It's not like going to be on midnight on June 29th. They're going to dump the app, and everything else is going to be everything else is going to expire. But it's supposed to be fully operational by then. Caveat: this is the FAA, and now we just said kudos to the FAA for the new page. You guys, and you know this because I've heard it from FAA employees. I've heard this from FAA employees. Deadlines are attempted. Let's say that. Is that a nice way to put it?
All right, let's move on to the real important
stuff. All
right.
Yes. Okay.
Semantics of the FAA. You guys know it. We don't need to talk about it.
Exactly.
So should we move right into?
We're going to go to 2B.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. So you got step 1, step 2, 3, 4, 5. 2B is what we want to do. Never mind, I'm not going
So let me ask you, just to clarify really quick, an airspace authorization on here, it says is a short term up to 6 months and grants access. But you're saying that's not true, that you can get up to a year, it's June, and all you need to apply for is an authorization.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes, and we'll put that in the dates because I think you fill out the dates. I can't remember now all of a sudden. I did it a couple times just to make sure it works, but since it's a new system, and I have got confirmation that the reason it says 6 months is because they had the page written, but in the background, but it was written before the new memo came out that said everything's going to be June 30th. June 30th of next year. So don't put 6 months on there when you're filling this out. Go ahead and put down the June 30th, 2018 expiration date, which you do have an expiration date. It just popped into my head. You
know, something that I find interesting is I clicked the link to go, let's see, where are we? I clicked request to operate in controlled airspace form instructions, and something that I noticed here that just kind of took me off guard. Submit your application as soon as possible prior to your planned operation. For applications that only request authorization to operate in controlled airspace, the FAA expects to provide a response in less than 90 days.
Where did you print?
So it's right here. It's 2B.
Oh. Okay, I thought you were on this space.
But that's really interesting to me because the FAA legal language says that you'll be given a decision in 90 days. That's how I understand the law. In fact, I can pull up the drone pilot field kit right now and look for that. But a response in 90 days is something new. I've not seen that before.
I have not either, but I really haven't paid that much attention to it.
Gotcha. I only say this, Vic, because do you remember last time we did this video, we filled out the airspace authorization, and I know of personally maybe like 12 people that have gotten an authorization from our last video.
Oh, I know more than that.
Oh, yeah. You know a lot more than that? Okay. I haven't gotten my authorization. So the one that we did on camera that we submitted that day, months ago, he said I only submitted it April 24th. I'm like, then.
I don't know. Was it? I think it was long. It was earlier than that.
Yeah, it was earlier than that.
Yeah.
But
we can
anyway,
go back and check the date when we published it.
Yeah. Anyway, it's just interesting, and guys, you should know this, that there is no system there at the FAA because these authorizations are not going in the order that they've come in. It took me almost a month to even get a response.
Well, now that's slightly different too.
Okay,
because when you fill out an authorization, you get confirmation that you filled it out.
Instantly.
When I last Thursday when they had dropped this, I can't remember, Wednesday or Thursday. It was Wednesday. I filled out a bunch of applications on Thursday. Friday, I got an email that said, "Thank you for filling out your airspace authorization application.
At least you got it the next day.
It will be
They probably
processed
saw it
by
was your email and they're like, oh, process.
Oh, no, this is from Vic. No.
Yes.
Give me more,
All right, let's
more
move
credit than
forward.
I deserve.
All right, so are there are there important things to know on this request to operate in controlled airspace?
Read the instructions, the
directions?
page you've got there. No, it just kind of explains it, but what it says there, we're going to do here.
Gotcha.
So probably a good thing to do would be pause the video right now. No, not, because I can tell you what to do next. Pause the video here in just a bit. Just read the instructions. It's in one of the links in 2B. And then we're going to go over it just to help you get through it.
Well, we're going to be doing it as we're filling out the authorization.
Exactly.
All right,
exactly.
well, let's move into doing it.
So click on the link that says apply.
Okay.
There you are. And you have
Awesome.
on a page that says request to operate in controlled airspace. Now this is a really easy page to do. And Paul's told me not to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. If the instructions on this are to the point where even if you don't know what you're doing, you can probably stumble around and eventually get to the point where you can apply, and you might get it. And so that's actually kind of nice
Say that
of
one
the
more time.
FAA to do that.
Say that one more time.
You can stumble around the website, fill in what you need to fill in, and run a fairly decent chance of getting the authorization. But we want to make it better than a fairly decent chance. We want to make it to where it says, okay, you push this button, in 8 to 10 weeks, you're going to get an authorization.
Awesome.
I think that's what we want.
I think that's
What we want.
Okay.
Because that's, it's making your job easier, it's making the FAA's job easier, and that's what we want. So, you already started.
Oh,
Look
yeah,
at
I'm
you
trying
go,
to get
man.
ahead of you. Sorry.
Look at you go.
Because last time I was behind you, so this time. And it says dates cannot be in the past or exceed 24 months from today's date.
Well, that's
and I
okay.
put the start date as 90 days from today. Do you think that's a good idea?
That's a good idea, but I don't do it.
Oh, okay. What do you do?
I put 60 days from the date of whenever I'm sending the application.
Okay.
The FAA does request 90. I've never had one kicked back on a short notice, but I do know people who have had them kicked back. So unless you're wanting to do it, 90 days is not going to hurt. But I've never had one kicked back for 60.
This is really interesting. I mean, it's getting a lot more specific now. Time frame of operation.
No, that's easier.
Okay.
No, that's easier. Okay, you're getting way ahead of me.
All right,
Okay.
I'll slow down.
Let's start over.
Okay.
So what you're going to do is the very top, your first box says request operation. You're either going to request an airspace authorization or an airspace waiver. Now they still say here less than 6 months for your authorization, but you can ignore that because we've already established why. Airspace waiver, I would not fill out right now.
Okay.
Because they're taking longer than 3 months. And if June 30th really is going to happen next year, we won't need waivers because we'll have automatic authorizations.
I cannot
except
wait
when
for that.
you're in an area that's got a 0 AGL on the UAS
sense.
FMs.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Which makes sense, which is what the authorizations portal should be for, and which is what it will be for.
True.
In theory. So airspace authorization, you just go ahead and fill that out. We're not going to fill out the waiver side because that's a whole different ball of wax. So we're not going to do that today. So don't worry about the less than 6 months. So first thing you want to do is fill out your name. Most people know that.
Paul.
There you go, unless your name's not Paul. First name, last name. You can put down an organization if you want. Whenever I'm filling one out, I always put down Moss Photography because that's the name of my company. Eventually, I'll also start using Red Hawk Aerial because that's the name of the inspection side of things when I get that kicked off. So the Red Hawk Aerial side of things will be the drone stuff, and Moss Photography will be more my ground-based stuff, terrestrial.
Logo.
Yep, it's on the side of my truck. So then you put in your phone number, and the phone number you want to put in is your cell phone number, assuming you have one.
I don't.
You do too. It's on a public radio. Put your cell phone number down because that's the number that the FAA is going to call you if they have any questions. Either on your authorizations, that's the number that'll be on your authorization, and that's the number that will be given to the airport. Or if you have any questions. So that's why you want to do that. Don't put your office number down, assuming you have one. And then it asks for an email address, and then you confirm your email address, just like every other form you've ever filled out, even Pizza Hut. So the next thing you need to do is the operation. So this is where, again, it's pretty simple, but you want to get some fairly specific things in one of the boxes. You do want to put down 60 days or 90 days, whichever you want to do. 90 days is safe. I do 60 and never had a problem. But don't take that to the bank. And then your end date, just go ahead and put in June 30th, 19.
1918?
1918. No, put in June 30th, 2018, because that's going to be the expiration you're given. The memo says all. There might be somewhere it's just restrictive. And if you ask for, I only want a week, they might give you a week, and then you've just wasted a whole bunch of time. Now, another part here that's changed, this is one of the things that's changed, is time frame of operation. You can have 4 boxes to check. Sunrise to noon, noon to 4, 4 to sunset, and night.
So just check them all.
Check them all unless you don't have a waiver. If you don't have a 10729 waiver.
You know what's interesting though is like the last time you would, and let me see if it's down here. The last time you would put your certificate.
You're getting ahead of things.
Okay.
Jeez. You're like a kid at Christmas. So
I'm excited.
If you have your daylight waiver, go ahead and check night, and I'll tell you why in a minute. I'm not going to let people get ahead.
Okay.
So timer frame.
If this was a driving class, would you have a mouse where you could control the scroll?
This was a driving class. You'd be sitting in the back seat right now. So time frame of operation, sunrise to noon, noon to 4, 4 to sunset. Now, if you have your waiver, go ahead and click night as well. Frequency.
This is interesting because...
Frequency is new.
Yeah, well, it makes me wonder if I select one or the other, does it really matter? Question 1. And then question number 2, let's say I select...
You're talking about frequency, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Let's say I select weekly or bi-weekly. If I select bi-weekly, is it going to increase my chances of this going through
That's
faster?
what I was wondering. I've not got an answer. Actually, I haven't asked that question. That was one of the things I was
Kevin
going to
Morris.
ask, and I forgot. Kevin Morris, please email me. You know my email. I just put weekly because I rarely do anything more than weekly.
I think that's good.
If you put daily, would it? If you're outside the norms of the grid maps, if that's the case, then it has to go to the airport that's assigned to that airspace. And if you're going to be flying daily, whoever the POC, point of contact.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Every airport has a UAS POC.
It depends if they answer the phone or not.
Whether they answer the phone is not the same question. But anyway, if it's outside their normal grid maps and it's daily, they may question it. But if you're going to be flying daily outside their grid maps, then that's what you need to put down, because then you can be telling the truth.
Now, here's
I
a
put
question.
weekly on everything.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Here's my question to you, though. Even if I put weekly and I fly daily.
But at the same place every day.
Yeah, it wouldn't matter, though, because there's nothing in the law that says anything about frequency of flight
There's
operations.
nothing in the law that says that, but that's just, we'll leave that
I'm
there.
sorry, I don't have the FAA employee handbook with me.
I would
Don't
just-
do this.
The only thing I'm thinking is if it does have to go to the POC at the airport, they may question a daily flight that's 200 feet off the side of a runway.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Well, that makes sense.
So, be truthful if that's what you need to do, but odds are you're going to be talking to the airport anyway.
I just
put
put
weekly.
By the way, guys, I've seen some authorizations say you've been given this authorization, you can fly, but please call the airport. And I've seen authorizations for the same exact airspace that said go ahead and fly when you want.
Yep.
And you don't have to call the tower.
Yep.
Like literally the same airspace.
Well, that's the different people that are going through there's different companies that are doing these authorizations. Different contractors.
Oh.
There's different contract
So
companies.
wait. Well, hold on. Bombshell.
You didn't know this? No, this has been like...
Private contractors?
Yes. They have FAA email addresses, but they are private contractors through companies. Wow. That's been going on for months, dude.
Wow.
Really?
Well, I guess I'm so focused on the fly-in. So
You are, yeah. You're focused on drone gear, not the rest of the world. So the next thing you need to do is your time zone. So you know where you live, use that time zone. And then the first real questionable where the tricks lay is going to be your proposed location of authorization. You have up to 5,000 characters. You have a character count of 5,000. For the proposed location of operation, you really don't need that much, because all you're talking about is the airspace. And for what I do is I just put, okay, this is the airspace for KGYR at or below maximum allowable AGL. So if you're applying for a wide area authorization, which they are granting now, which means it'd be all of Delta for KGYR, which I can't remember what airport that is. This is the last one. I think it's one of the ones in Arizona.
I just went over KGR. That's so funny. I'm looking on.
But if you're asking for a wide area authorization, which they are granting, for the most part, what you're going to get is a 100-foot AGL. That's one of the FAA memos that have been out.
So that's changed since last time we
Yes,
talked.
yes. Some are 150 and some are 100. But they did say, last I heard was everything's 100 now. I still ask for 150 though.
Really?
Yep. So then all you got, your proposed area of operation is just the airspace attached to the airport. Now you can either fill out a small area operation, which I did for Bravo at DIA at Denver, because they denied my white area.
Wow.
They would not allow it, which they do now. I've seen one since. But I have 200 feet over part, and everybody else has 100 foot because I just went over what's called Reunion, which is a community near the airport. I have 200 foot AGL at Reunion, but I still only have 100 foot AGL at Green Valley, which is my other authorization. But that's because that's it. But if I'd asked for a wide area and they granted it to me, I would have just gotten 100 feet because that would have been the lowest square.
Interesting.
So, yeah. So the other thing I have, and I know one other person who has it too, at the Broomfield Airport here in Colorado, I have what is called coordinate areas first, or coordinate first areas, sorry.
UGC?
Yep. And they gave me the entire airspace.
Wow.
I can literally fly on the runway, but I got to ask first.
They must like you.
I don't know. But then somebody else got it just lately. A friend of mine got that too. Flies for Hensel Phelps. But and the thing is, I now have a project in one of the coordinate areas first. And remember, everything else is 100 feet out of BJC. Closer to the airport, in a coordinate area only, they gave me 200 feet.
Wow.
So interesting that I get closer. The closer I get, the higher I can fly. I like that. So that's what you want to put in your proposed area of operations, just what the airport is, the airspace, and if there's something like Delta and Echo, you got to fill out 2 applications.
So, okay, well, we decided before we were going to shoot this that we were going to do that. And right now I went on SkyVector and I looked up Kappa because I want to get rights to film essentially down in Denver Tech Center. So should I put Centennial Airport first and then ICAO Kappa?
I just put Kappa. I don't put ICAO. I don't put anything.
That's the, okay.
I just put Kappa Airspace, Kappa Delta, Kappa Echo, whatever. It sounds like a sorority. So
the way that this kind of goes down is like a sorority.
It kind of is, yeah. So go ahead and fill that
or
out.
a fraternity. I don't want to get gender specific on that, okay?
Let's not get gender. And if you want wide area, you just
so you're saying that I have to do this not once, but the whole thing twice if I want to do Delta and Echo?
Yeah, you have to do 2 applications.
Wow.
You can't ask for Echo because if you cruise down here towards the end, if you'd have gone ahead, you would have realized this.
What?
So you choose your choice down there.
Okay.
So up there, you're applying for one airspace at a time.
I think that's an important distinction to make, though, because if people could say like, "Oh, I just need to fill this out twice," like this little box, but no, guys, you got to fill out the whole thing.
2
again.
applications.
Yeah,
2 complete applications. And I've seen them denied because they asked for 2 different airspaces in the same application.
Wow.
The next box is your proposed maximum AGL.
Okay.
So, and again, the memo I've seen and have had confirmation is right now all area-wide authorizations or wide area authorizations, whatever you want to call it, wide area authorizations.
We'll call it WA.
WA.
Because one more letter and it would be a gas station.
There you go.
Wawa.
Wawa.
You know what I'm talking about?
Not a clue.
Yeah, you do.
So you put 100 feet. I put 150 on all of mine, even after I knew about the memo. Because I'm thinking, if you don't ask, the answer is always no. So what they'll probably do is either flat out give me 100 feet, give me 150 feet, or call and ask if I can do 100 feet. Because they are calling, that is the other thing about the authorization offices, they are calling people who have authorization applications in when there's a question. Even the waiver office, I saw a waiver follow-up question that said, you need to tell me this and be specific by telling me this. And I was sitting there reading that email that somebody sent me, and I was floored by how generous the waiver person was telling them what the applicant needed to do to get the application. It's like, thanks again, FAA. That is really awesome. So the next box is the one that really screws people up a lot. They've made it a little better in that it's easier. It's easier to not mess up. I just put it that way. But there's also a little trick to that. And since we're doing your screen recording, I want you to go to maps.google.com, and we're going to show everybody a trick and watch his thing there. So maps.google.com, go ahead and expand that out for me. Good. Now let's go to Kappa, since that's where you're at. So go down.
Internet's just so
Yeah, it's a little slow. It's okay. It's free. Sort of. If you're a guest
Should
here.
be right here.
Down a little bit further. That's Cherry Creek Reservoir. Keep going, straight down. Straight down. There it is. Ding, ding, ding. Okay, so now take your mouse and drop a pin somewhere where you don't light up. I usually just do it between the runways because I kind of like doing it.
Oh, okay.
So now what you've got there.
Hold on. Oh, I've done it 3 times now.
You've got a digital GPS at the bottom of that little pop-up box. Now you click on that, and it magically gives you your actual GPS coordinates right there.
It really easy.
And what's really cool is it's also in the header on your tag.
Okay.
So you don't have to bounce back and forth if you're using the same.
Wow, Vic.
You can bounce. So all you got to do is.
I wouldn't expect this type of tip and trick from a guy like
Hey,
you.
what can I say? That's right. I'm not quite the computer guy you are. I'm also
That was an age joke.
35 years older than you are. So there you go. There is 39, 34.
Uh-huh.
I can't read sideways.
And then 104. 104, 51 seconds.
And don't put decimal points. Just round up or round down. So if it says 31.2 minutes, just put 31 minutes. And another really nice thing is, remember in the last one they had the little N and they had the little W, so nobody tried to fill it in, or people didn't know they were supposed to fill it in? This just has a drop-down menu. It's not the N or the W there.
Perfect.
And if you're filling out something in America, it's N or W, not S or E.
Yeah.
They will not give you your authorization for Europe. And then the next thing you got to do is your radius, which is, again, just like the other one. And it's not giving you wide area again, which is weird. I thought for sure they'd drop a wide area. But again, they wrote this before they started granting wide area operations. So just do the longest, which is 2 to 3 kilometers. I'm sorry, nautical miles, kilometers. Now I'm stuck in Europe.
2 to 3 clicks.
And so then the nearest airport is, again, use your ICAO, which is Kappa, K-A-P-A for Centennial. And you can look that up on the FAA website. So if you're not sure.
Yeah. Also, you can go to skyvector.com.
Yeah, skyvector.com, and that'll tell you as well.
Yep.
Then you have your class of airspace, and you're doing D.
Delta.
So there you go. So you drop down D.
Then it says provide a complete description of the proposed operation, including the purpose of the operation and justification that establishes how the operation can safely be conducted. Now, if I were an internet troll, which I'm not, but if I were an internet troll and these guys really wanted to know why I was doing something, I would come up with the most creative story possible, just for fun.
Don't do that.
See, we have to talk about these things on camera because people may try to do that, and you may want to know why not to do that.
You don't want to do that because we're trying to make the job of the FAA authorization contractors easier.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they might get a laugh out of it, and you might make the rounds of the Christmas party that year, but you will have your authorization denied. So don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. But now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs of what I do. But basically what you want to do, and again, you have 5,000 characters, so you do have time to explain what you want to do.
So let's discuss this just really quick. Do you think, let's talk about detail, because obviously if I write 5,000 characters, it's going to take someone longer to read it, which logically it would probably take longer to get the authorization. You don't think so? Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the time frame says that, but if everybody does 5,000 characters, it will back things up just a little bit. But it's not, the goal of this shouldn't be just to get an authorization. The goal of this is to say, this is what I'm going to do, and then do it.
Gotcha.
You don't just want to get your authorization, go out there and fly willy-nilly. That's not the point of this. I mean, there's a reason we're having authorizations, whether or not we agree with it. It's still a safety issue. And that's the paramount, number one decision maker of a go or no-go decision for a mission. Is it safe? That's exactly what you want to do. You want to explain that to the FAA.
I think that's really important. Now, for those of you who are trying to fill out a lot of airspace authorizations, do you think it's beneficial, because as I'm sitting here just trying to change up some of the wording of yours, do you think it's beneficial to essentially make the changes in, say, a Word document?
I have a Word document called authorization.docx.
Which, by the way, if you are a Drone U member, you'll have access to a similar document. But unless you're a Drone U member, you will not have access to it.
So basically what you do is you write it out first. And I guess we should have started with that. That would have been a good thing to start. So write out your description first. And then you just copy and paste. You just copy it and then paste it right into the box on the website. It just pastes right into it. It accepts the wording, the whole 9 yards. So that's what you want to do first. And then you save it. And then all you have to do is you go back in when you fill out the next one. Either you change your airspace to whatever the next airspace is. Like if you're going to do Kappa again, you would change it to E. And then you also change your ICAO designation to Kappa or BJC or KDEN or whatever airspace you're applying for. And the way I have mine written, I have 3 references to the airport, the airport designation, let's just say that, and then 2 references to the airspace. So I know every time I go back in to fill out the next one, I just change those 5 things, and there's my next authorization. There's my next area of description of my proposed operation. Copy, paste. You can literally, and I did, because I sat down and I filled out everything in Arizona and everything in Utah in an hour.
Wow.
In an hour.
Wow.
I did 14 authorizations in an hour. And I was kind of screwing around. I was watching TV at the same time. So you can do this in 3 minutes once you have it down.
Gotcha. So what you're saying is develop your system.
Develop a system.
Get your text going. I'm writing my text right now. That's why I was like, yeah, keep talking. I'm just going to write this text, post it, because I stopped my video recording because I don't want to share the text. So I'll start up the video recording again here in a second. But I think Vic has a really good point. Just like in your business, you've got to create systems and routines to make this stuff easy. And like we have a contract right now for 241 large facilities that we need to fly, and many of them are in controlled airspace. So that we could do it ourselves, but we could also probably hire someone and create a system to even do lots of
applications being accepted at Paul at no, I'm sorry. Now while
support
you're
at thedroneu.com.
Send you $20 with no. So I'll just kind of describe what my paragraphs are, because that'll help a little bit. The first thing I do is I describe who I am and what I use UAS for. Whether it's aerial inspection, whether it's photography, whether it's video. And then I explain how I'm going to operate safely.
Gotcha.
Whether I need to call airports, whether I need to file a NOTAM at wx.com or 1-800-WX.brief, sorry. Let's see, what else do I say? Oh, I also monitor. If I'm near an airport, which you will be because you're filling out an authorization, I monitor on an av radio. And we get to the point where, especially I fly a lot at Centennial, and I can, there's people doing touch and goes, so we'll know, okay, the blue and white Cessna is going to come over here in the next 30 seconds, get our shot, get back down. Now, I'm still not up in their level, but the last thing I want to do is create a report. So, and also all of mine so far have said that I need to call the airport. So I call the airport 30 minutes before, and it's usually leave a message, and immediately after. So that's what I'll do. And then also I explain my lost link procedure. So that is one of the things I do. And go into detail with that, go into detail what would happen if it doesn't kick in, if there's a lost link. And then the other thing I write about is I am attaching my 10729 waiver to my authorizations from now on. So I write in there my little paragraph.
That's what I was just doing, was finding my...
There you go. You got to find all your numbers.
Yep.
Go ahead and put out there. You're 1319. I'm 754. I'm sorry. Not everybody knows our waiver numbers, which is public information anyway.
Vic just went up, Paul. I've got trophies right outside the door.
There you go. So you explain to if nowadays, and that's actually the next thing we do on the application. So that's why I'm bringing that up. You can attach your waiver much easier to your authorization application. And so then the last paragraph I write is from actually the waiver safeties, because I'm being anal about it, is I say that I need this authorization because if I don't have it, there's a good chance that somebody who doesn't have it what that doesn't have an authorization can take the job and fly illegally without notifying blah, 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 blah. So put that in your description of proposed operation. Keep it under 5,000 count.
And guys, just really quick, if you are watching this on the DroneU site, please, please, please make sure that when you copy and paste this written text, you need to go through it with a fine-tooth comb.
Yep.
Because if you do not change certain things in here, they're going to realize that you cut, copy, and paste it.
Yeah, definitely use it only as a guideline, as a template.
I've even changed things in here. Like I've added
good.
things like we will not broadcast on an aviation frequency unless it's an absolute
ever.
emergency.
Except an emergency.
Yep. So
once you get that done, you're almost done.
And another thing here that I wanted to bring some question into is the NOTAM. In here you say like you'll file a NOTAM and all that. I question if that's
we've
necessary.
had this discussion, and that's just it's a different way of doing it.
Yeah,
you don't
and
have
there's
to do
a reason that I don't file a NOTAM.
And you've got a good reason to do it.
Yeah, normally when I file NOTAMs, people show up in their helicopters, and it's happened multiple
and
times.
I think you're paranoid, but
no, like hovering down, like hey guys. So
yeah, well, that's understandable. See, that's the difference between Paul and Vic. I'm sorry. Anyway.
No, it sometimes it really didn't make it a safer area. People were wondering what was going on, and we had Cessnas coming over, and like in an area where Cessnas normally don't fly.
The reason I do it, and this is my reasoning, Paul's got his reasoning, I've got my reasoning, and they're both legitimate reasons.
Guys, let's be honest, most of you are going to be in Vic's boat, and I think that
I don't have a boat.
The NOTAM boat. Okay, the NOTAM boat. I think that a lot of you filing a NOTAM is a very good idea, especially in airports where Class Charlie or even Bravo airspace, where we're getting into really serious airspace. It's probably more likely that it's going to be a requirement to file a NOTAM in those airspaces.
I have not seen any of mine require.
My point is that it's probably going to be more helpful.
Right, but on the back side of that, all of them do say that when you're using your application or your authorization, you must follow what you put down on your application. So if I put down I'm going to file a DROTM, I need to file a DROTM. The reason I'm doing it, back to that, is I do it 24 hours in advance, and I'm flying 3,000 feet off the runway at Kappa perpendicular. And if somebody, not all private pilots do this. Is if they're going to pull up any DROTMs or any NOTAMs in their flight plan, and if they're just doing touch and goes, they're probably not going to follow a flight plan. But it might be that one person who sees it. And I'm only going to do that if I'm going to be near the airport, or if I'm away from the airport and I'm flying even in uncontrolled airspace. If I'm going to be close to 400, I want to put it on there. That's the only time I do it. I don't do it for every single flight, because if everybody does every single flight, nobody's ever going to check NOTAMs anymore, because they're going to be just, looks like the map has measles. All these little purple spots are going to be popping up everywhere. So it's a good idea to file them if you're going to be either very high, and once I fill out the waiver for breaking 400, I'll definitely do that. Or if you're going to be near an airport. And only if you're going to do 24 hours in advance. If you get a call and, I need to be there in an hour, don't do it. Don't bother, because it's not going to work. So we filled out all the way down through description of proposed operation. The next part, I am real excited about, because I love it. Thank you again, FAA, for this. Other certificates of waiver or authorization. So you have a little thing there that says, is there a pending or approved waiver or authorization associated with this proposed authorization? There's no other little box below that, right? Click yes. Dun, dun, dun. If you click yes, there's another box that pops up and it says, what does it say?
Waiver reference number separated by commas.
So if you have filled out and you've got your night waiver, your daylight waiver, sorry, people get mad when you call it a nighttime waiver, because you're not waiving nighttime operations.
Semantics, who cares?
Well, I do. I'm that way though. So if you click the yes, this magic little box opens up that's never been there before, and all it asks for is the waiver numbers. So if you're attaching a daylight waiver to this authorization,
or a nighttime waiver,
shut up. Or all you do is you type the number in, and that's it. Now, if you have multiple waivers, let's say you have,
I've got a lot of nighttime waivers.
You have one nighttime waiver. It's only one nighttime waiver per person, or per authorization. There's other waivers, like let's say you're FLIR and you want to fly your little baby and you're over paper or over people and you're BVLS and your whatever else they've got on that.
You're flying over a baby on a moving train in controlled airspace.
You just put every single waiver that you have that you want applied to this authorization, you put it on there. But 99.99% of everything's going to have one waiver, and it's going to be a daylight waiver.
Gotcha.
So if you put it on there, that is not a guarantee you'll get it, because you might get denied if for some, I don't know, let's say I did not attach it to my KDEN waivers because I didn't, or authorization. See, I haven't do that. Because I didn't think DIA would let me have nighttime ops, even though I have an authorization, and I didn't want to run the possibility of having an authorization denied again.
Gotcha.
And plus, I don't see any reason for me right now to be flying nighttime at Denver.
Yeah.
It might happen, it might not, I don't know. But for what I have the authorizations for, I just don't see it.
Gotcha.
So, but all the authorizations I did for Utah, all the authorizations I did for Arizona last week, I attached my waiver to it. Cool. And I did everything from Sky Harbor to Scottsdale.
Awesome.
So, and then Tucson and Montham.
Gotcha. Well, guys, just kind of so you know, if you're watching, I'm going to fill out another airspace waiver for the Santa Fe airport, and I'm also going to include that screen grab. Again, doing this just kind of part by part, piece by piece. In fact, we can probably just really even do it really quick. Mm-hmm. If we're working on this system, this should be easy. So the only issue is I don't know Santa Fe's ICAO.
Neither. But the last thing you need to do before we jump too far ahead is there's a little box.
The I'm not a robot?
It says I'm not a robot box. So you click I'm not a robot. But before you do that, make sure you filled everything out. So go back through, spend 30 seconds reading through everything again. Make sure you got your name right, phone number right, email address, your launch, your dates, all your time frame. If you've done copy and paste on your area of operation plus your proposed operation description, you don't have to worry about that, especially if you're 5,000 characters. But just make sure everything's filled out and then hit I'm not a robot. If you've made a mistake, you've missed something that has a little red star on it, it'll say, hey, you messed up, go back and fill this up. So then you fill that out, you go back down again, hit I'm not a robot, and sometimes, either if you take too long or if it's your second attempt trying to convince them that you're not a robot, you get these little boxes with pictures and it says like, click all the storefronts, click all the cars, and there's like 9 little pieces of picture in there, and you just click on that, and it asks you, usually go through 2 sections, and then you're done. And then a little thing pops up that says, thank you, and you can either go back to fill out another authorization, you can go to the waiver page, and there's the third option, I can't remember what it was. And then, in theory, about a day or 2 later, they are now giving you confirmation that you filled out an authorization. So that was really neat. I did get mine when I filled all those authorizations out on that Thursday, I think it was, last week.
Cool. So
I got a confirmation. On Saturday morning, I think it was.
That's awesome.
I got one confirmation. And I don't know if they just saw all this stuff pop up and say, hey, Vic got a bunch of stuff and yeah, we'll send him one. Or if you only get confirmation out of one every 14.
Well,
that's that.
Here's the thing. Right now, I am trying to fill out another one to see if I can get it done in a couple minutes, like you were saying, because you got how many done in an hour?
I got 14.
That's pretty good. I'm not trying to beat that. This is not a competition. See, because here's the thing. I think this is really important because, practice makes perfect. And see, propose location of operation, again, it's that, funny kind of, okay, what's the airport? Santa Fe Airport, KSAF. Do you think I should put the GPS coordinates in?
Not in that. You put it down lower. But you want to put proposed location, you're going to put your airspace too. Now, it doesn't ask for it because it asks for it again, but I'm a big, huge proponent of giving them too much information. Because if you don't give them too much, the other option is not giving them enough or giving them just the right amount, I guess. We can play, 3 bears all day long. But to me, anytime you're filling out government paperwork, more is always better than less. Because if there's a question...
Unless it's a trial.
Then always less is more. But if there's a question that they have to contact you for, that adds a day or 2 or more to the process.
Wow.
So I've never had them ask for more information on an authorization. We've either been approved or I haven't heard anything. And the only thing I haven't heard anything from is DOD, the Air Force Academy. They never said boo to me, or the FAA never said boo to me about whether or not it was approved or denied. But last week, I got notification that my Buckley Air Force Base authorization is in the works. And that's usually a 2 or 3 day indication that we're going to get it soon. And I haven't heard anything since then either. So when you're dealing with DOD, it's always kind of a crapshoot. I also happen to know somebody in Texas. I've talked to him on the phone a couple times last week. He went to the base commander, ATC commander, that controls all ATC in 4 or 5 area DOD facilities. He said, all you got to do is call me.
Really?
Give me 24 hours notice. If it's a safe operation, it's yours.
Wow.
So dealing with DOD can either be a pain in the backside or a blessing.
I think a good lesson for people is people. I mean, we're dealing with other humans, and how you treat them is going to be important, you know. And if you want something, hey, maybe treat people well. I don't know.
And he does have an inside. He has a friend of his who works with in the DOD. Is a civilian. I think it's a civilian DOD who knows who set up the meeting with the commander, the ATC commander for the area.
Gotcha.
So, but it was nice. It was a good meeting. They were both nice. Oh yeah, thanks, appreciate it. You know, there's so many people doing things that aren't the way that you're doing it. So we appreciate you contacting us. Here's my number. Give me 24 hours notice. If it's a safe operation, you can do it.
Wow.
And that's to 400 feet.
Wow.
Now it might not be. He may say, hey, you can have 200. But still, it's a phone call, and as per the letter of the law for 107, you need ATC permission to fly.
That's right, which is a big caveat. And guess what, Vic? In the time that it just took you to explain all that, I finished another one.
There you go. See, once you get your system down, you can bang these out. Bang, 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 bang,
this
bang.
This is awesome.
Now, it's going to put a little bit of a kink in the colon if everybody does this.
True, but one thing that I think we forgot to mention is the FAA.maps.arcgis and finding out that information, because we have gone over exactly. Look, we want right here in this airspace, here's the GPS coordinates, 2 to 3 nautical miles from there, which normally covers the operating area. Almost, yeah. But I think it's really important to tell people, if you're wondering exactly where you can fly and where you can't fly, using these maps will give you the information that you'll know whether the contractors will automatically approve you or automatically decline you.
Right.
And it's literally that easy. So if you're wondering, I wonder where I can fly in Kappa's airspace, well, I can boom, 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 go into Denver.
Kappa's not live.
Okay, let's use neither Santa Fe, geez.
Denver, DIA is and BJC is.
That's so weird.
And they every 56 days they're going to be releasing more, just like the regular sectional updates. They're treating these as sectional updates. So every 56 days they're going to be added. And once they're all there, which I think we figured out was 2 or 3 cycles from now.
Yeah, October.
Okay, that's not. Don't quote us on that.
Yeah. But if we
then they'll change.
Yeah, that would
then
be
they'll update.
The October, I said that because if we take 56 days, it's approximately 2 months, two more cycles.
I know. That's our math. That's not the FAA's.
I'm not a math guy. Okay.
I have an art degree, so go.
That's why we have Rob.
But yeah, double check those, especially if you're not going for a wide area. If you're just going for a specific area, like I did at KDEN, like I did at Denver, since they denied my wide area, I went in and said, I want this and I want this. But the funny thing is, the maps weren't out yet for Denver when I filled that out.
Interesting.
And so that's why I got 100. I put 150 on both of those because I just guessed at the 150. That's just kind of my default AGL. It's
Gotcha.
150. They gave me 100 for Green Valley, which is 100. If you go down there, 100 is the max AGL for that area. But for Reunion, they gave me 200 because 200 is the max AGL there.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah, so they're good, they're great, but I will say, if you use these grid maps, it's not authorization to fly. I've seen so many people question that on the forums lately. Hey, grid map, yay.
That's a good, it's a reasonable question.
It is a reasonable question, and the FAA is not super great about explaining it. They're not super great about explaining much anything. With the exception of now the authorization pages, they've come really close. The grid maps are not giving you authorization to fly. Not yet. They might. They're not going to give you authorizations, but in theory, the grid maps, the UASFMs, are going to be what all the automatic authorization apps are tied to.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
In theory.
Everything's in theory until
Everything's
it comes
in theory
out.
until it happens.
Yep.
But we'll all find out June 30th, 2018.
Definitely, guys. And on that bombshell, that's going to do it for us today. Vic, thank you so much for coming here again today.
Thank you. Fill this out. It should work for you guys. And again, write it up in Word or whatever thing you use.
If you guys are not familiar as to why the page could refresh and you can lose everything as you're typing it out, so it's really important to just work the system.
Plus it's quicker.
Open up multiple pages. If you're using a Mac, a great tool is called Better Snap Tool. In fact, if you were watching the screen recording, I actually opened up Better Snap Tool.
I don't know what that is.
I will show you. Okay, so Better Snap Tool will really help you if you're trying to work on multiple things at once, because you can just snap it into the corner and then snap this in the corner now too.
I just tab between them.
Yeah.
That works too.
So anyway, guys, hope this was helpful.
I hope so too.
If you found any differentiating information, if you have seen different things with your authorizations, please leave a nice comment below. Otherwise, we really want to know how this is going for you. We know that our last authorization video did very well for many of you.
4,000 views almost?
A lot. Yeah, a lot. It's really important to know though, and the keys to success with this, guys. Number one, change up the wording in your description of operations, right?
Now you can use the same over and over again in your authorizations because it's your authorization, but don't copy and paste somebody else's.
Definitely.
It'll work-ish for a while.
But it's not a good idea.
They don't have an unlimited number of contractors. So eventually every contractor is going to see the same wording over and over again. And again, you might make the Christmas party.
That is very true.
Yes.
Well, guys, that's going to do it for us today. My name is Paul.
And I'm Vic.
And you're watching Ask Drone U.
Fly safe.
Don't forget to subscribe or like these videos. And we have more authorization videos coming out to aid you guys. If you want to increase your confidence and maybe elevate your experience, check out becoming a member of the Drone U. It's the only online training community that not only gives you people to talk to lower your learning curve, to give you knowledge and experience, but also we're the only place to give you all of our content for one low price. We're not going to charge you thousands and hundreds of dollars for each individual classes. You can get all of our content for one low monthly rate. Thanks for watching, guys.
All right, bye-bye.